ॐ श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Okay, Vijay. Yeah, there you are. Vijay, go ahead and unmute yourself. Jay is not there. Okay. Sudha and Satish, unmute yourself, please. From number 11. Number 11.
Okay.
देवान् भावयतानेन
देवान् भावयतानेन
ते देवा भावयन्तु वः
ते देवा भावयन्तु वः
परस्परं भावयन्तः
परस्परं भावयन्तः
श्रेयः परमवाप्स्यथ
श्रेयः परमवाप्स्यथ
इष्टान् भोगान् हि वो देवाः
इष्टान् भोगान् हि वो देवाः
दास्यन्ते यज्ञभाविताः
दास्यन्ते यज्ञभाविताः
तैर्दत्तानप्रदायैभ्यः
तैर्दत्तानप्रदायैभ्यः
यो भुङ्क्ते स्तेन एव सः
यो भुङ्क्ते तेन एव सः
यज्ञशिष्टाशिनः सन्तः
यज्ञशिष्टाशिनः सन्तः
मुच्यन्ते सर्वकिल्बिषैः
मुच्यन्ते सर्वकिल्बिषैः
भुञ्जते ते त्वघं पापाः
भुञ्जते ते त्वघं पापाः
ये पचन्त्यात्मकारणात्
ये पचन्त्यात्मकारणात्
अन्नात् भवन्ति भूतानि
अन्नात् भवन्ति भूतानि
पर्जन्यादन्नसम्भवः
पर्जन्यादन्नसम्भवः
यज्ञात् भवति पर्जन्यः
यज्ञात् भवति पर्जन्यः
यज्ञः कर्मसमुद्भवः
यज्ञः कर्म समुद्भवः
कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्
नित्यै यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्
Yeah. So we are now in the third chapter. In case any of you are joining new after a long time, whatever, or you have the classes were very useful in going to sleep, whatever might be the reason. So we are in the third chapter, and which started off with Arjuna asking the question that you spent the entire second chapter talking about Atma, which is fantastic, and I liked it. And you said the fundamental problem was ignorance about myself. The whole life I'm leading, and you're telling me I was ignorant about myself. Therefore, I took myself to be limited. I took myself to be insecure. I took myself to be wanting. And Atma Purnaha. Atma cannot, nobody can touch Atma because there is no second thing. You said this. So I'm very interested in that now. But why are you asking me to fight right now? A fight that I'm not interested in. And so this is the dilemma Arjuna has. And so this chapter got started. And in the third verse, Krishna said, Lokesmin Vividha Nishtha. Hey Arjuna, there are two lifestyles for any person. And and he said, Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam, Karma Yogena Yogina. This he said. So for those who are committed to knowledge, those who can, that means for those who can walk away from their duties, those who have completed their duties, for them, yes, what you said is right. They can full time pursue this knowledge. Then there are other people who cannot walk away from their duties. Yes, so they can lead a lifestyle with the attitude of karma yoga. He said that. Now the entire chapter is really karma yoga. First chapter, second chapter, jnana yoga over, and this is karma yoga. And pretty much every chapter, either it is jnana yoga or karma yoga, because lokesmin vividha nishtha. Correct? Krishna himself said. And so we can shades of differences are there. So bhakti yoga, dhyana yoga, etc. You have all these various types. Okay. So having said that, and then he said, don't be romantically attached to this sannyasa and all that. And the karmana anarambhat naishkarmyam purushoshnute. We saw all that. So you can't simply say, I'm going to, give up everything and then take to sannyasa. That won't work. That's good. That'll create problems, then solutions. Now problem not just for you, for the rest of society also it will create problems. So you better do what you're supposed to do. So then he introduced this word yajna in shloka number 10. Saha yajna praja srishtva purovacha prajapati. So Prajapati created human beings, and then along with human beings, he created yajna. What is yajna? Yajna means, we understand yajna, typically when we use the word yajna, it is something special. It's the ritual that we do. It's a fire ritual. It's a homa. That's called a yajna. So, but here yajna, okay, where is that homa mentioned? The fire rituals are all mentioned in the Vedas. Veda is the source for all yajnas. Therefore, here yajna means Veda. Okay, so that saha yajna praja srishtva means Veda. It can be taken as yajna also. That is the methodology of performing rituals, fire rituals. That is a yajna. And that is mentioned in the Veda. Therefore, yajna is also interpreted to mean Vedaha. Bhagavan created Vedas along with the human beings. That both interpretations are acceptable, identical, equivalent. Okay, so having said that, he talks about yajna over the next few verses. And then we are now in verse number 15. Verse number 14 started where Krishna started describing this chakra, this cosmic wheel, how this whole universe operates. That he started saying by saying Annad Bhavanti Bhutani. So from food is born all beings. In a reverse order is going. So all beings are formed from food. Annad Bhavanti Bhutani. Parjanyad Anna Sampavaha. From rains and other natural forces, food is created. Food is formed. Then what about clouds and rains? How are they formed? They are formed from punya. Yajnad bhavati parjanya. Yajna. So there the word yajna comes. And so what is the meaning of the word yajna there? Well, yajna means your own, your duties, your fire rituals, your homas, where you're invoking devatas. Why homas? Because that is where we invoke our devatas. And specifically, explicitly, and that is where our cosmic vision is manifest. We do the ritual with that understanding. So Indraya Swaha Idam Namama. So we do that. We actually call out their names. Where is Devatas? Varunaya Swaha, Vayave Swaha, Ityadi. Therefore, Yajnat Bhavati Parjanya. So there Yajna means a ritual, and it also means all the adrishta that is born of every action you do. Adrishta. So all the punya that is gained by all of us, by all of us, the punyam that is gained, because all our actions give us punyam, but then not everybody says, I want punyam for myself. I want punyam for humanity, for the world. A lot of people are there. Therefore, all the punyam comes together, and that yajnat bhavati parjanya. Correct? Because yajna is not done by Ishwara. Okay, Bhagavan is not doing yajna. So who else can do yajna? Animals cannot do yajna. Plants cannot do yajna. So it has to be only human beings by elimination. Therefore, yajnat bhavati parjanyaha. Then what? Yajna karma samudbhavaha. What about yajna? Yajna is a result of action. If you take yajna as punya, then it's a result of my own action. Therefore, yajna is created by karma, action. Somebody who has a free will only can produce adrishta, only can do a yajna. That is pretty clear, I think. Because so during vacation time, we all want to go somewhere. And where is that somewhere? We want to go to some quiet place, some place, scenic place. We want to go to something that is very natural, right? And maybe some natural reserve, this and that. Why don't you go to an artificial reserve? Why do you want to go to a natural reserve? Well, because it's all beautiful there, and it's all beautiful there because it is pristine and nobody has disturbed it. Why? How come all these animals, zebras and giraffes, are all there? Why don't they disturb the environment? Don't they create ozone depletion? No, they don't have free will. They cannot do all that stuff. Only this beautiful human being has done wonderful things. And we say we live in a concrete jungle, etc. And I want to escape this jungle. So, therefore, it's very obvious. So, animals cannot, not only can they destroy the environment, they cannot do yajna also. They cannot repair the environment. Maybe if we leave it to themselves, they say, this pandemic, and I saw this beautiful, we hear a lot of stories and news also, and people are all sitting indoors, all animals are all wondering what happened, and they're all walking on the roads in Coimbatore and other places. We see elephants and other deer running around because no buses, no traffic, and these animals are all just having a nice time. So therefore, karma brahmodbhavam vidhi. So yajna karma samudbhavaha. Then we are now in verse number 15. Karma. What about karma? How did that come about? Brahma. Brahma here appears 3 times, and that word Brahma means Veda. So Brahma has another meaning, important meaning. It's called Veda. So we saw earlier in Pancha Maha Yajna, we saw Brahma Yajna as the 5th Yajna, and we said that Brahma means Veda. Veda Aradhana, Veda Adhyayanam, and Patanam. Study of the Vedas and teaching of the Vedas is the real Brahma Yajna. Okay, so that Brahma is used, the word is used here. And because the Vedas provides for me all the Purusharthas, all the means to gain the Purusharthas, Dharmartha, Kama, Moksha, that Brahma is said to be the cause of karma. Okay, look at the way Bhagavan Krishna presents it. Okay, and I left the class last week or last class with a question. What was the question? How many of you remember the question? Okay, so a few of you are raising your hands. And the question is, because this word knowledge comes, karma brahmodbhavam vidhi. Brahma is Veda, and then Brahmakshara samudbhavam, it says. Veda is knowledge, and knowledge comes from Akshara. He's saying here Akshara, Parameshvara, Ishvaraha. Okay, so here I left with the question, knowledge, is it created or not? This was the question I wanted all of you to think about. Can knowledge be created? This is the question. Seems like a silly question. What do you mean by knowledge is created or not? Knowledge is obviously created. So many new things are being developed day after day. And in this day and age, where there is so much competition, a vaccine is going to be there, available to us soon. And so it's created only. Before vaccine was not there, even now vaccine is not there except in a few labs, and very soon it will be there everywhere. So that vaccine, COVID itself, we don't know if it existed or not, but vaccine definitely did not exist. Okay, so knowledge is created. This is our thinking. But then look at our rishis, the way they think. Suppose somebody develops a computer, invents a computer. Computer was invented at one time. And the founder of the CEO of IBM, Thomas Watson, said the world needs only 6 computers. This is a famous statement he made. And so the world needs only 6 computers. Now families are asking, are six computers enough in our home? That is the question they're all asking. And then every chip is a computer, and the chips are all over the place. And so before the computer was invented, computer did not exist. Computer knowledge, did it exist or not? This is the question. This is a question. What a question it is. And how can computer knowledge exist? Well, here is the thinking. If you put so many raw materials together and arrange them in a particular way and then present it in the form of a computer, then that computer is born. Correct? There is a knowledge behind. There is a body of knowledge called computing technology, which creates a computer, which when acted upon, a computer is made and the computer functions, of course. Now, that knowledge, was it there or not? Our view is this: knowledge is always there. It is just waiting for you to tap it. You have to tap that knowledge. Every scientist is tapping the knowledge that is always there. Correct? Suppose azithromycin is there, antibiotic. The doctor has prescribed azithromycin to you because you had some viral infection. So 1 a day for 3 days or whatever. Okay. And now azithromycin did not exist some time ago. Before it was invented, it did not exist. Let's go back before penicillin time, okay, to be safe. No azithromycin. Now, no azithromycin was there. Means what? The azithromycin that I know, which is in the form of a tablet or which is in the form of a chemical for a chemist, it did not exist, we say. That itself may not be a correct statement because we don't know. Compounds can be formed by themselves also somewhere or the other. So it may exist. Okay, suppose it did not exist anywhere. Nowhere in the solar system azithromycin molecule exists. If you say, well, the knowledge, if azithromycin was made available, say 200 years ago, when no penicillin, no antibiotic existed, would it have worked on the virus or not? Would it have worked on the bacteria or not? Yeah, so many of you are shaking your head. So if the answer is yes, why it works? Because that science is there, that knowledge is there, that is how it's supposed to behave, that is how bacteria is supposed to react to all the antibiotics. That science is there, that means that knowledge always existed. Any knowledge we talk about always existed. Then how come, okay, existed? Where does it exist? Where does it exist? Not in libraries, not in the Library of Congress, not here, not there. It exists in, we say, knowledge can only exist in a conscious being. Only in a conscious being can knowledge exist. So this knowledge exists in consciousness. Knowledge can only exist in a conscious being. Okay. Then, okay, am I a conscious being or not? Yeah, I am a conscious being. I think I'm a conscious being. Especially I come to Gita class, I'm becoming more and more aware that I am a conscious being. And so I am a conscious being. And that I can accept. Then knowledge, all knowledge exists. Some knowledge exists or all knowledge exists in conscious being? All knowledge exists in a conscious being. Then I should be God. Means I must be all knowing. I must be omniscient. I must know everything. Because you just said all knowledge exists in a conscious being. Yeah. But how come I don't know? How come I'm having difficulty pronouncing some simple Sanskrit words? And all accents are all going this way and that way. What is the problem I'm having? And you're saying all knowledge exists in a conscious being. And I'm having difficulty with so many things. And I started Sanskrit class, and they're saying this and that, and upload this and digitize that, and this software and that software. My head is just spinning. And you're telling me all knowledge exists in a conscious being. I don't follow all this, Jaykumarji. Yeah. So we have something called ajnanam. We have something called ignorance covers that knowledge, and that ignorance is scraped away, periodically scraped away. Our effort is constantly to scrape away that ignorance, not to create the knowledge, because knowledge can never be created. Knowledge always is. This is the idea. It appears to people that, okay, this person, this scientist invented that chemical, that compound, that medicine, and that scientist invented this device, etc., we say. And so that is okay, nothing wrong with that. But we are very clear that knowledge is not created. It's available for anybody. Anybody can scrape that ignorance. And the ignorance is scraped based on whatever knowledge we have. We do more and more research, more investigation, and then the ignorance keeps on going. This is the vision. And so, because in modern science, they don't agree with that. They're talking about knowledge being created all the time. Constantly patent, the patent office is always busy, and constantly people are sending their inventions to this office, and they have to figure out what is this guy, is this, I don't know how they work. Patent office must have real PhDs, and they must have scientists working. Otherwise, ordinary people cannot do the job, because you have to assess the application. And the person says, this is my unique invention, and they have to go back all the way. Did anybody do all this? So it's a tough job, in my opinion. And so here, all knowledge here, when we say it, therefore has to mean Ishwaraha. Ishwaraha, Sarvajnaha. Ishvara, all knowledge. For us, omniscient. Every culture uses that word omniscient for Ishvaraha. And so therefore, this knowledge, when we say, whenever they invent new things, knowledge of any object. So you take a flower, you take a rose flower, and what is it? It's a rose. And what kind of rose it is? It's part of a family, and then you give a name for the family. And then is it a white rose or a red rose? It's a red rose. Okay. Then how many petals does it have? Oh, its petals are organized in this way. And like this, we can keep on doing research. Why does the rose smell like that? Oh, because it has a chemical. Because now we can analyze all those chemicals in a lab. And then there is this unique chemical in the rose. And that is what gives the smell, the odor for the rose. And then we can extract that chemical from the rose petals, and then we can make rose water. And then this is how it works. Now, so constantly there is research going on, and then new ideas are being generated, and the new ideas are also being corrected. Correct? So even medicines and coffee, those days there was research, coffee a day keeps your heart healthy. So people used to drink coffee. Then somebody comes and says, no, coffee is not necessarily that good for you. So everybody, both this guy got a PhD who said coffee a day is good for you, and the guy who said coffee a day is not good for you also got a PhD. Correct? This is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Nobody says, how can two opposite things be correct? No, nobody says that. No, you deserve a PhD, you also deserve a PhD. So this is how PhDs are. I'm also a PhD, okay? So this is a PhD. You write something, and as long as people don't understand it, you get a PhD. Perfect. Because, or if they understand it also, you get a PhD. Good. So many PhDs are generated. So this correction is possible only when it comes to this anatma vishaya. Anatma vishaya. Any object you talk about, you can do research, you can improve on it, you can dig into it further and further. And do you think retinology, eye itself is small. On top of that, the whatever pupil and all is there, and then there is something called retina. And retina is another some surface behind. And you think retina, there is no retinology. No, there is a big subject called retinology. And that research is changing constantly. Newer and newer equipment to find out retinal disorders and how to improve it, how to help people with retinal disorders. It's constant research is going on. After all, one small part of this body, which is itself is a one small speck in this entire life forms, which itself is a small part of the entire earth, and so on and so forth. So much research is going on. Why? That is because that is the nature of anatma. Research will never end. You can always ask the question, why? Why? And then you will know. If you don't know the answer, you have to do research. This is anatma. Now, when it comes to atma, what about atma? The entire thing that Bhagavan Sri Krishna said in the second chapter. So, Dehi nityam avadhyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata, or every other. So, avinashitu tadvidhi. All these are statements made by Bhagavan Sri Krishna about atma. And we talked some time ago about whether this atma, knowledge of atma, can it be improved? Version 2, version 3. Versioning is so important. You got to keep up with all these versions. Otherwise, yesterday I opened Google, and then I wanted to Google Pay, and I wanted to add my bank account, another bank account there. And this Google Pay says, or that bank said, you cannot use iPhone 5s in that version. You have to upgrade your iPhone. My goodness. This fellow is talking as though I can go to the store and purchase for 10 rupees. Huh? What is this? I don't know whether to laugh or cry to this stuff. And so this constant upgrading is a big headache. I think it should drive us to sannyasa. One good thing about all this is we'll just run away from this whole thing. This is too much for me to handle. Okay. So with Atma, this upgradation and all not possible. Why? Because Atma is partless, niravayavaha. Atma is the whole. Because it is partless, it is the whole. All pervasive. That is why achedyoyam, adahyoyam. That is why it can't be burned, it can't be dried, ityadi. And when something has no parts, then either you have the knowledge of it or you don't have the knowledge of it. These are only two things possible. The minute you get it, that's it, you got it. There is no more. All sannyasis, come on, we have to have a refresher training, and we have all these training programs in companies. You got to refresh yourself, and you got to, software programmers constantly keep on writing some exam or the other. They have to upgrade their knowledge, because the language they learned when they were in college is gone. It's all gone. Now it's all new language. And so we don't need to call all these sannyasis for a convention for upgrading their knowledge of Atma. Not needed, because that is the nature of Atma Vidya. Atma is like that. So, having said that, so knowledge cannot be created. The only thing that can be created is what? Confusion can be created. Error can be created. Delusion can be created. Huh? Misunderstanding can be created. That I can take credit for. But knowledge, no credit can be taken by anybody. And this is why we say Veda, which is a body of knowledge, is not created. Some of you may have heard of the word apaurusheyam. How many of you have heard of apaurusheyam? Okay, so more than half of you have said apaurusheyam. This is the background for apaurusheyam. Paurusheyam means born of a human being. Apaurusheyam means not born of a human mind. Human being. And therefore, we say Veda is not historical. Look at that. Bible is historical. Remember, it was, they say, there's a lot of research on who authored Bible, okay? And then they say one theory is Moses wrote the Bible in 1300 BCE. He authored what is called the 5 books, and the books of Leviticus and the books of Deuteronomy, the book of Numbers, the book of Genesis, etc. There are some books, okay? And there is a theory like that. Some people say, no, Moses did not do that and this and that. There is a lot of research going. So, Bible is historical. Christianity is historical. Veda is a body of knowledge. No body of knowledge is created by a human being. What to talk of the Vedas? Therefore, Vedas is uncreated. It has been coming to us from too long ago. You can't even point to it. Therefore, Veda is not historical. Veda is not created. So, because knowledge cannot be created, and because Veda is a body of knowledge, Veda does not have a beginning. And therefore, Veda is not historical. Look at how much depth we have to go to understand all this. That is why we say Vedas is revealed. So, what about all these rishis? Didn't the rishis create the Vedas? Vishwamitra, Jamadagni, etc. They themselves say, hey, we did not create it. They call themselves mantra drashtaraha. They are not mantra kartaraha. They say, we are not creators of the mantras. We saw the mantras. Just came to us. How? Like you turn on the TV and some scenes are going on. Movie is going on the TV. On the TV screen. Well, the TV, don't give that credit to the TV. The credit of creating that drama, don't give it to the television. Don't give it to the satellite dish you have on the top of your house. No, even that cannot take credit. It's being created somewhere and it is being received by your antenna, etc. And the TV has the ability to project it. Same way our rishis say, we saw the mantras. We are not authors of the mantras. Brilliant attitude. Look at that. We need to protect this dharma because this vision is so sacred. Sacred, where people don't take ownership to whatever they do. Means they take ownership to their actions, highly responsible for what I do. At the same time, I'm not the creator of anything. Look at that vision. Brilliant vision it is. And so, okay, I'm looking at the time. So, that is the vision. Why did we say all this? Because Brahmakshara Samudbhava. You should not lose track of why and what, right? So, Brahmakshara Samudbhavam, Vedas is uncreated. It is born of Ishvara. That is the vision here. Knowledge is born of Ishvara. Knowledge is not. In fact, knowledge is Ishvara. We can't even say born of Ishvara. That's the vision here. And so here, so that whether the knowledge is knowledge of the heaven, knowledge of karma, knowledge of dharma, which is all, knowledge of heaven is indirect knowledge, right? Knowledge of Swarga is indirect knowledge. Vedas talks about it. And last time there was a question, belief versus knowledge. Is karma to be believed or not? This question was there. Our answer is this. Karma cannot be proved. Okay? Karma means the rebirth, etc. And punyam and papam cannot be proved. But Vedas talks about it, and we have Shraddha in the Veda. Therefore, what would have been a belief becomes indirect knowledge for us. I'm using a word indirect, an adjective indirect, and I'm using a word knowledge for us because we have Shraddha in the Vedas. When the Shraddha is there, it converts a belief into knowledge. It is as good as knowledge. That is the meaning, indirect knowledge. Not direct. Direct means what? That which you can verify. That which you can verify is direct knowledge. If somebody says the sun has risen, you can verify it. Then you can say, yeah, sun has risen. Come on, it's time for all of you to get up because it's morning now. Okay. So the direct knowledge. What about this knowledge of Atma? Is it direct or indirect knowledge? Let me remind you. Indirect knowledge means knowledge of things that are inferred or that are believed. Suppose somebody comes to you and says, hey, you guys should go. You guys should visit Kashmir because now the state is now improving. A lot of commerce is happening and children are going to school instead of throwing stones. And so now it is safe to go to Kashmir. Okay. And you should go to this and that, go to Vaishno Devi temple. They have modified it very well. And now it's very easy. You can go have darshan. Suppose somebody says that. What kind of knowledge do you have about that? It's all indirect knowledge. You believe in those words, and there is Vaishno Devi Mandir in Kashmir, and so you have a desire to go there. Indirect knowledge. And how it is, what it is, and all. If you said everything is there, knowledge, but indirect knowledge, which can be verified later, converted into direct knowledge. But some things cannot be verified, like this Swarga, etc., karma, punya, papa, cannot be verified. That's okay. Still, it is indirect knowledge. Atma Vidya, is it direct or indirect? Direct means, yeah, that is true. It's proven. I know it. Nobody is unshaken. It's a fact. There we say, because you are Atma, Atma is not an object that is away from you. Okay. Atma is not something away from you. Anything away from you only, you have a problem of direct versus indirect. Do I have to believe it or not? Here, when Krishna says, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, Upanishad says, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, Aham Brahma Asmi, etc. Those statements, Mahavakyam, that Mahavakyam has to give you direct knowledge because it is about me. I. Atma is I. And so, whatever knowledge I get has to be direct. It can't be, you can't say, I believe that I am full. I believe that I am complete. You can't say that. You can say that until you understand. But the minute you understand it, its knowledge is complete, full, direct. And so, this discussion was needed. And here Swamiji tells that, therefore, because that knowledge is like that, any knowledge for that matter is like that, and especially Vedanta, nobody can claim ownership to that knowledge. Even though it's preserved here, we take ownership to it and it must be preserved here. And it is so ancient and it is so important and so sacred that nobody can claim ownership. Means nobody can say, I created it or it belongs to me. Like, for example, if somebody says, Egypt, they're running out of, population is increasing. And so the government says, we're going to demolish a couple of pyramids. Okay. Because remember Reagan, he came and said, if you have seen one redwood tree, you have seen all redwood trees. So why do you need all these trees? So if you've seen one pyramid, you've seen all pyramids. Why waste space here? We need some real estate. So pyramids don't, there's occupying space. If the Egyptian government says that, What do you think will happen? Yeah, people are shaking their heads. So United Nations will step in, has to step in and say what is going on here. It's a national, it is an international, it's a global, it's a United Nations heritage it is. It is no longer just Egyptian heritage. It's a world heritage. The minute it is so ancient, it is now belongs to the world, and one government cannot decide. That is why these fellows in Afghanistan are able to demolish this Bamiyan Buddha statue, correct? Long ago. Because they know this is ancient and this is too old and this is sacred, and therefore I will destroy it. And these fellows do that. So understand that. So this knowledge comes in that category. And so Brahma Aksharam. So Brahma Akshara Samudbhavam. That all this explanation about direct knowledge, indirect knowledge, Veda, knowledge not created. Okay, I'm going back, retracing our steps. All to say this Veda, any knowledge is Akshara Samudbhavam. It is, if at all you can use the word created, it is created by Ishwara. It is manifest from Ishwara. No human being creates knowledge. Therefore, patenting, yeah, we are forced to do patenting because we have to protect our intellectual rights, intellectual property. We have to protect. So we patent. That's okay. And we have to do whatever we have to do. But those days, if you look at it, when they wrote books in our culture, they never used to write their names. There are so many books, we don't know who wrote the books. Fantastic books. And books that are just amazing. And you don't know the author. You know why? They're shy of writing their names. They will say, Sri Om Ganeshaya Namaha, and then they will write the book. Over. And you look at some of the books, they will say, where they write the name, they will say, they will write it in passive voice. They will start their text with a prayer, right? Like Tattva Bodha. How did the prayer start in Tattva Bodha? Huh? Vasudevendra Yogindram. Some of you are recalling now. Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattva Bodho Vidhiyate. He says, for the benefit of mumukshus, he doesn't say, I am writing Tattva Bodha. He says, Tattva Bodha is written. He doesn't, passive voice mein chhod diya. He just does the passive voice. So this I wrote idea doesn't come to them. They feel it's just coming to me. And I am blessed that I am able to, that idea is coming to me. Which is the truth, actually speaking, correct? And so they were committed to that truth. So here, Brahma Akshara Samudbhavam, that Brahma, that Vedas, which has given the Yajna. So, what does it say here? Karma Brahmodbhavam Vidhi. So, from that Brahma, which is Veda, the actions came. I do things because I am guided by the Veda, and that Veda comes from Ishvara. Knowledge not created. Vedas not historical. All these topics we discussed in this context. And so, therefore, Nityam Yajne Pratishtitam. Nityam Yajne Pratishtitam. In that Yajna, now, which now I apply to all my actions, my entire life. My entire life is full of actions. And whether I am doing an actual Homa and Yajna or I am not, this Akshara Samudbhavam, Brahma, this Vedic view, the blessing of the Veda is there. Vedas is all pervasive. What does it say here? Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma. Therefore means what? Because Annad Bhavanti Bhutani Parjanyadanna Sambhavaha Parjanyadanna Sambhavaha Yajnad Bhavati Parjanyaha Yajnah Karma Samudbhavaha Karma Brahmodbhavam Vidhi Brahmakshara Samudbhavam Tasmat. Therefore, Therefore, Sarvagatam Brahma, that Brahma, Ishwara Dattam Brahma, is Sarvagatam, all pervasive. Veda pervades everything. That is Krishna's logic based on this. Veda pervades everything. That vision is there. That knowledge pervades everything. In fact, everything is knowledge. Right? When you say there is a tree, you are actually saying tree knowledge is there. I recognize tree knowledge. And that entire tree is not separate from the tree knowledge. We don't separate the object and the knowledge. Object and the knowledge are actually identical. We think they are separate. We think knowledge is in the book. We think knowledge is here and the object is there. That's actually not correct. That object and the knowledge are not separate from each other. Okay. So, Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma Nityam Yajne Pratishtitam. So here Swami Paramarthananda ji also says that vision is what makes the Upanishad say, because everything is Ishvara, everything is Brahma, Veda. There is really nothing nothing that I don't have to take the burden of creating this or creating that. Everything comes through me, and since I have free will, may my life become one where whatever my actions are converted into yajna. There was a question about what is the difference between karma yoga and yajna. So karma yoga and yajna are connected, very close. They are in fact identical. You can't separate these things. You cannot separate these things. So karma yoga, once I look at my actions as yajna, then automatically I am a karma yogi. Correct? Because yajna means recognition of Ishvara, recognition of order, recognition of order as not being separate from Ishvara, order as a manifestation of Ishvara. Correct? And so once I recognize that, my actions become yajna. Yajna means an offering, and we already said the word Ishwararpana Buddhi earlier. Karma yoga means Ishwararpana Buddhi must be there, and Prasada Buddhi is there. Prasada, because whatever comes to me comes from Ishvara, therefore it is Prasada. Therefore, yajna and karma yoga, there is no difference. Correct? And there was another question, I'll come to that in the satsang. So here, having said that, therefore, that chakram, he's going to use the word chakram in the next shloka. And this is the chakram from annam onwards, from Ishvara all the way to annam, food, and then beings, and then karma, and then cycle keeps going on. This is called chakra. Krishna uses the word chakra for that. And that is sustained by the human being. Of course, my role is important in this chakra. I can destroy it, I can sustain it. It's all up to me. And the more in tune I am with this, the happier I'm going to be. I'm in harmony with everything. And then that harmony is needed for me to appreciate this knowledge that Krishna talked about in the second chapter. So what is the purpose of karma yoga? Well, so that I can become whole, I can appreciate Ishvara already, and then it is just a matter of time before I can see the Mahavakya that Krishna is going to explain. Okay. So with that said, let's translate this shloka number 15. May you understand, vidhi, may you understand karma, within brackets, rituals, prayers, etc. May you understand karma to be born of the Veda. Brahmodbhavam. Karma Brahmodbhavam vidhi. Okay, may you understand karma, not the karma as in karma phalam, not punyam and papam. Karma here means ritual, prayer, so action, any action that is prescribed by the Veda. To be born of the Veda, and the Veda to be born of the imperishable Ishwara, Brahmakshara Samudbhavam. Okay, full stop. Therefore, tasmat, comma, the all-pervasive Brahma, Brahma within brackets, Veda, therefore the all-pervasive Brahma abides always in yajna, abides always in yajna. Tasmat sarvagatam Brahma nityam always yajne pratishtitam, abides in yajna. Abides means manifests in yajna, is available in yajna, is in yajna, like that. कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि ब्रह्माक्षर समुद्भवं तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्. ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ओम शांति शांति शांति. हरि ओम. श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरि ओम.